So Jimmy Dore, you're here at a Tulsi Gabbard event in Concord, New Hampshire. What are you doing here today?
So we're hosting a forum about legalizing drugs, not just marijuana. There's someone, I think, on the panel, Libby McKay, is her specialty is marijuana legalization, and another gentleman will be on the panel, and it's not just about marijuana. It's about all drugs, which is such a huge step, and it's not just about decriminalization. It's about legalization, which then creates markets. So it's a bigger deal. I think that's what this panel is about, yeah. And in New Hampshire, for some reason, they're a little bit behind everybody else on drug.
It's a little strange, right? With the live free or die.
You would think live free or die. You'd think
Right.
they'd be up on it. So that's why it's kind of interesting. We got a local guy from New Hampshire who's very big in legalization of drugs, so he's going to be speaking on the panel today.
So it's not just about marijuana, right? It's about
Right,
drugs?
all drugs.
Okay. And, I think a lot of folks out there, they may say, well, marijuana's okay, maybe mushrooms, but when you start talking about cocaine and heroin, I mean, those are already epidemics. We don't want to legalize those. So why would we want to make those things legal?
Because when you make them illegal, you force them underground, you don't get rid of the problem, you just make the problem worse. And I don't think, alcoholism should not be an illegal offense, right? You shouldn't be a criminal because you're an alcoholic, just like you shouldn't be a criminal if you're addicted to nicotine and you're smoking cigarettes. By the way, those things kill way more than all the other drugs combined. So the point is that if you don't legalize drugs, like whatever, cocaine, heroin, they still exist. People still do them. I could do them right now. We both know we could go get drugs right now. It's not that hard. So but having it be like that creates lots more problems for society and makes us sicker. So if we start treating it as a public health problem, which is what it is, instead of a criminal problem, we'll have a much healthier society. And I think that's why it's important to legalize all drugs.
Is this the first event that you've done with Tulsi Gabbard?
No, I've done at least one other event where I hosted for her. Was it in Los Angeles? Just a regular rally. I think this is, and then last night we did some kind of a online town hall, a round table or something, and then this would be it. The third thing, maybe, I guess. Yeah.
So are you effectively endorsing her in the primaries? Are you supporting her?
I'm endorsing Tulsi Gabbard's message and the fact that Tulsi Gabbard should be included, and of course I endorse her. As it's important to hear her voice and have her voice. I love her. She loves Bernie. I love Bernie. But I think people would say, well, why don't you just? Why is she running? Well, because Bernie's already running, right? And I'm like, well, she has a unique perspective, right? She's a military veteran who's against the wars, right? So she has more, gravitas to talk about those kind of things, right? And so when she talks about those kind of things, it lands. Also, she speaks much clearer about foreign policy than anybody else, right? And so I think it's important for her to be in the race to change the conversation, which she already has done. People know what regime change wars mean now.
Right.
People are aware that a lot more people are aware that the Syrian gas attacks were ridiculous, were not as reported,
Right.
Didn't happen, and people are starting to wake up to our foreign interventions. Not only, she spoke very clearly on Venezuela, and so that's why I think it's super important for her to be in the race. That's why I support her and I always speak positively about her. She's the one other thing that's unique about her is that she has a unique ability to reach across the aisle, right? So she appeals to which is what the Democrats say that need to do,
right?
Appeal to disaffected Trump voters,
but not in that way, not the way she's doing it.
You have to do it for war,
right.
not against war. And so she appeals to a lot of people who are anti-interventionists from all stripes of political parties, and so that's another reason why I think it's important to have her in the race.
I think it's great too because Bernie, I think, is a little bit better on some issues. Tulsi is a little bit better on some issues. And now just with Bernie, surging ahead. They say he's surging ahead. I kind of suspect that. I wonder if maybe we just weren't getting an accurate picture, before people actually have to start voting and we're going to actually see the results. But something that's still disappointing about Bernie and where Tulsi stands ahead is, like you said, war. Also, Russiagate. She's really pushed back on these
that's super important, don't you think?
Suing Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
And also Julian Assange. I think it's very disappointing that Bernie Sanders has been near silent on Julian Assange, whereas Tulsi has spoken about him for the past year.
Do you support Julian Assange?
Do I support Julian Assange?
Will you pardon him?
I can't say it just yet. It's a longer story.
Please, sir, please.
I'm aware of the issue.
Will you pardon him? Commuter sentence, please.
So those would be, that's exactly what I'm talking about. She has a point of view. She pulls the party and the conversation to the left on those things. And that's why it's super important. That's why I'm glad she's still in the race. I hope she does stay in. And then when she gets to the convention, she can, help direct her delegates to wherever she wants.
And again, it seems as though Bernie is going to win Iowa. It looks as though he may win New Hampshire.
Yeah.
He's way ahead in California, which is a big deal. He's neck and neck in Texas. I still am wondering, though, at the convention, could it be a situation where they're going to need to go to a second round of voting where the superdelegates kick in?
Well, that's what they're talking about right now. There was even talk, I just read an article this morning, that there's some grumbling inside the DNC to change the rules again. In fact, Tom Perez had to come out and make a statement that they're not changing the rules to allow superdelegates to weigh in on the first ballot. So the problem is, it looks like there's a chance, and a good chance, that it might go to a second ballot. So when it goes to a second ballot, the superdelegates decide, don't they?
Right.
What reform did we get then? We didn't get any reform. I think, by the way, they don't call them superdelegates anymore. They call them automatic delegates. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
I read that this morning.
It's all about that Orwellian, double speak.
I laughed out loud when I read that. They're called the automatic delegates.
That's ridiculous. Well, something I was just speaking with Ron Yukalik about is if Bernie, does win the nomination, it seems likely to me that he would win, because I think that if you look at the areas that Trump flipped Republican, those are areas that Bernie really won handily in the primaries. You see that in Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin. I think that it's likely that he will win. But what happens when Bernie Sanders, becomes president? Do you think that the Democratic Party would actually help him pass the legislation that he's proposing, or do you think that they would be fighting him alongside the Republicans?
So they would be fighting him alongside the Republicans. The majority of the Democrats in Congress are conservatives. And when Nancy Pelosi was running to be Speaker, again, she gave concessions not to the progressives. She gave concessions to the conservatives. She moved to the right.
Right.
After Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi moved to the right. So yes, they're definitely going to. That's the whole thing I talk about. It's important for Bernie and Tulsi to have a single payer, which they both do. But we know that it's going to be getting Bernie I would love to see Bernie Tulsi kick in. But so to get a progressive elected, that's just the first part. Because now the real fight starts. You think they're just going to let you have it? No, they've controlled the same people we're fighting against: health insurance industry, corporations, big pharma. They control the Congress, right? So we have corporate capture of our government, and they're going to. I've said it for months now that the Democrats will align with the conservatives, and they will block Bernie's agenda. And whereas they all come together now to pass Trump's agenda, which is what's going on right now. They did pass it. They didn't fight him on anything.
Right. They gave him a Space Force.
They gave him a Space Force. They gave him money for his wall. They gave him expanded spying powers. They gave him a new NAFTA 2.0.
Right.
I mean, they gave him $131 extra billion to go bomb people. A guy who they say is under the thumb of Vladimir Putin. Why would you give him more money to go bomb people if he's doing it at the behest of Vladimir Putin? Because that's a big sham. Because the Democrats they really like his programs, his platform, and they can't really oppose him on substance. So they oppose him on Russiagate, or they oppose him on impeachment, a phone to the Ukraine, or whatever. Celebrities, and it drives me nuts, right? Because I live in Hollywood, and I'm around those people. when they go on social media and they are like, you better vote blue no matter who, and we all got to come together, we all agree at the end of the day. You don't know. That's not, no. What they should be doing is coming on social media, pressuring and threatening Democratic politicians with their lives if they don't represent workers, because they're not going to vote for you if you don't. That's the message they should be sending, not, hey, voter shaming, and you better vote for a guy who doesn't represent you. Joe Biden just told a guy, go to hell. I'm not going to vote for you.
He told a few people, right?
Yes, he's told. There's a montage of Joe Biden telling people to go vote for other people.
Pipelines, but then you want to replace these gas lines. That's not going to work. We can't. We got to stop building and replacing pipelines. You got to go vote for somebody else.
You should vote for Trump. You should vote for Trump.
You got the right candidate in Bernie. You got the right one. Well, and Elizabeth or whomever you have, that's a great thing.
Tell you what, if you look at my record and you still doubt about my commitment, then you should vote for somebody else.
That's not how you run a railroad. That's why we got Trump.
Right. And again, I think people see through it. I think they recognize that's all professional wrestling bullshit. And I think they're going to see it this week where the impeachment and the State of the Union are going to be pretty much on the same day. So you're going to have these people voting to remove Trump from office, giving him a standing ovation. It's ridiculous.
That's such a great point. I didn't realize it was happening on the same day.
It's just completely bullshit. So, and again, so I know we said 10 minutes, so I just want to say thank you as always. I think that you're really helping folks see through the ridiculousness of it all. I think Tulsi Gabbard is doing that in the campaign. So thank you both. And yeah, thanks for being back on the show. Hopefully we can have you back at some point.
My pleasure. It's really nice to meet you in person.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Everybody spends most of their life living in a totalitarian system. It's called having a job.
Challenging a foreign policy establishment and the military-industrial complex.
This is what happens when you start to really threaten the system.